The world is a pretty busy place, and it's a pretty chaotic place. And it's always been. I think it's always been a very chaotic place, and while, I think social media kind of illusions us into thinking it's been the most chaotic as it's ever been, it's just human nature for that so many things will just go on at the same time all around the world. Because there's 8 billion of us, and it's a big planet for people to live on, so of course it's chaotic. But more so, the amount of perception in our own, or the amount of chaos that we feel and that we think about, I find is perceived, not just so much as is objective. And a lot of people feel like, regarding how they live, or disregarding of how they live, feel like they have a pretty chaotic life, or that things are so busy and it's a lot and it's stressful and it's overwhelming. So I'm not telling you how to refix your life in that sense, but I will tell you that you don't need to cut out hobbies or things to do, or cut out like everything and start from nothing. You just need to live a simple lifestyle. So by a simple lifestyle, the best way I can say is that it is a mixture of what you do and what you think. At its kind of core, perception-wise, you're shrinking your circle of concern. You need to basically just shrink everything down to what really matters to you. Like, if the world ended tomorrow, what would you actually care about, kind of stuff, right? Make sure to really, guess, not guess, but really think about what really matters to you. Don't just think about the first few things. Why do they matter to you? Because you might be lumping in stuff like your parents and your siblings and your loved ones with, social media status. And obviously, just make sure to ask yourself what real things matter. I guess that's a weird example to compare parents to that. But basically, make sure to really take some time to think about what really matters to you. Why I suggest shrinking your circle of concern in this regard, especially if you're a young person, I think, is it really kills a lot of your anxiety. Whether you actually have anxiety or not isn't exactly the point, but if you're so in tune with what goes around in the world, on the news, on your phone, or just always kind of wanting to be in the know, and that you feel like you need to know things, you're naturally creating a sense of anxiety that's always there. It's underlying. It's like a sense of unease and dread that kind of follows you. Anxiety, kills your focus, kills the way you critically think, can lead to friggin' stomach problems, apparently, but yeah. It kills your ability to critically think, and it kills your ability to really just be very emotionally clear with yourself. And again, you should really have those skills as a young person. Well, really any person, but you should really have those skills as a young person, because it's going to affect your decision making down the road. And while you can afford to make a couple bad decisions in your life, you can't let your anxiety dictate everything you do, because that is a recipe for not disaster, but it's not the path you want to go down if you're going to constantly let anxiety do that. So yeah, to simply bring it back, shrink your circle of concern to what actually matters to you, what you really think, what you think and feel matters to you, and just once you realize how much anxiety can affect you, and you can actually start critically thinking almost every day, you're like, oh, this actually makes more sense. So yeah, and another thing I think anxiety does, it really kills your energy. And that is another valuable thing that young people have, is energy. So you naturally are just going to have a lot of energy as a young person. Once you realize how much you have, you need to know how to disperse it wisely. And I think that leads to a simple lifestyle, because of the fact that when you finally figure out what matters to you, you can then try to compartmentalize the best amount of energy you're going to have, right? You need to use an appropriate amount of energy to efficiently get the stuff you need to get done every day, and let that compound, because that naturally kind of builds that sense of confidence, kills anxiety, and actually almost even gives you a sense of new energy to make you want to do it again. That's kind of how I've been feeling with this YouTube channel recently. So again, take some time to figure out what it is you want to do, the hobbies. Obviously, if you've got important stuff like your job and your school, figure out the smartest, most efficient ways to complete your task, or achieve, or study for your tests, stuff like that. But even just for the things you do care about outside of that, which you should have, definitely figure out the right amount of energy you want to use for that, because each day is different. So if you definitely are someone who struggles to have a lot of energy, or naturally struggles to, again, really just hone in proper effort into something, outside of bettering your mental focus and your ability to think clearly, I would say definitely change your sleep schedule. Don't play around with sleep. If you really got important things that you need to do, don't mess around with sleep. Sleep is like what you need for that. Whatever it is, if you actually do like an important line of work, or you really have something that you're trying to hone in on, like make sleep like your number one priority. Like sleep schedule first, build everything around that. And the other thing I'll say about that is just eating good. Like just eat properly. Again, you can afford to have a cheat day, but really have like a strong breakfast of like, I don't know like the level of carbs and protein, but like Google that. It's breakfast, bro. Like real, like just get on breakfast. Like breakfast and dinner easily. And again, what these do when you just eat healthy in general, it just compounds more energy, and that more energy you can then also use again to better the life skills that you want to do and better the things you need to better. You kind of almost feel more confidence, you feel more energy, and you then repeat the cycle. It brings it back, right? And how that works is just living a simple lifestyle. Like I said, is it just now you're getting stuff done, and that the things that you're getting done with the more energy that you have and the more confidence you have from less anxiety, it really hones in proper structure to your life. I guess the other thing I should just say is, kind of just talked about it, but emotional clarity is really underrated. I think it really is like a skill that anyone can learn, and that really is no excuse for. And I think, like, if you have like no life skills, like you don't play any sports or do any arts or nothing, like you have a really strong sense of like emotional clarity, you can still go far with that. So anyways, with my emotional clarity, this is kind of a tricky one, and this is kind of nuanced, but if you find you're someone who is self-aware and you can kind of understand your thoughts and you can start noticing some reasons as to why you think and feel certain things, a good thing to kind of do is just build a habit of trying to get like an aha moment. Try to like find that emotion when it is. Why do you feel happy when you do? Why do you feel sad like when you do? And maybe like write it down, like make a tracker. It's just to find that aha moment and like the emotions you're getting. Like you're on a walk and then you think about something and then you feel bad and then you're like, wait, why do I feel bad? And then you're like, was it because I was thinking about this thing? And then obviously you're like, okay, then why does this thing make me feel bad? Or you're walking or you're hanging out with friends and you get this weird sense of anxiety and you're like, I'm hanging out with my friends. Why do I have anxiety? And then you're like, oh, there's this thing, there's this responsibility. Maybe I should work on it, right? Do these aha moments. Try to give yourself a moment to pause and think about it. It's a skill on its own, so don't expect yourself to be really like good at it right away if you've never done it. Even I'm still trying to work on that. And another thing you can also tell yourself is in this process of finding emotions, in this process of reducing anxiety and just the overall ability to, again, just better your life, is that it's always okay to make mistakes. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel bad things, or it's okay to screw up. And again, in the sense of emotional clarity, it's okay to feel bad emotions even though you're aware of them. That is totally normal. Just because you're aware of it doesn't mean it goes away. With emotional clarity, when you're just emotionally clear and you can understand the relationship of your emotions and how it dictates your behavior, you can understand yourself so much clearer, and you can also understand people really well with that too. Now, that's also something I should talk about in future videos, how to, understand how people and stuff, like just how people react to stuff like that. And obviously you can only read your own mind, not people's, but when you have emotional clarity, fix your set of behaviors, you understand your set of behaviors, you can use that in a way that will help you, whatever it is, down the road with social situations, work situations. And that really makes life feel simple. Because when you understand yourself, it really is a lot easier to then kind of find your place in the world and what you want to think about the world and what you contribute to existence and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of really it. Like I said before, shrink your circle of concern. Makes you feel a lot better. No less anxiety. You care about what you really care about. And now obviously that makes more energy. And when you have more energy, you can use it on the things you really care about. And also, emotional clarity. Again, really underrated. Probably one of the harder things to kind of work on if you've never done it. But when you start honing it and you start using it every day, you're like, damn. Living a simple lifestyle doesn't mean cutting out the hobbies, cutting out this and that. Maybe there's a few things that you do. If you're really stressed, get rid of a few things, but some things that help you live a simple lifestyle is really just all in the mind and all in the body. And that's kind of really all I got for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see y'all in the next one.